Happy as a butter clam when tides are high I sing a grateful ode to Puget Sound, the land of everything. I love it from Tulalip, from Puyallup, Squim and Pished, and to the Dosey Wallops where so many times I've fished.
From the big sky above to the deep sea below, here is a fascinating look at the world about us, the colorful sights and sounds of the Northwest world in action. An exciting world, an adventurous world, the world of exploration Northwest. Your host, Don McCune.
This week, our exploration cameras capture an exciting glimpse of our big neighbor to the north, southeastern Alaska, the famous whalehouse totems of the Raven Clan, the art of the Northwest Coast Indian, and the Chilkat dancers. A land where the rich harvest from the sea once supported a powerful and artistic nation. Stand by as Exploration Northwest presents Land of the Eagle. Good evening, and welcome to Exploration Northwest. More than gold or oil, the basic natural resource of Alaska is the human complement, the people who make up the population of this lusty and rugged newcomer to the American family of states, about 1/6 of which are Eskimo and Indian. Tonight, we'd like you to meet some of them. Interesting people in an interesting part of the world, a spectacular part, actually. Specifically, that part of coastal Alaska, which serves as the southeastern entry point for highway travel to Canada and western Alaska, the twin cities of Haines, Port Chilkoot, situated on a narrow peninsula near the northern end of Lynn Canal, a land crowded by majestic mountains, draped with massive glaciers, and home of the famous Chilkat dancers, the land of the eagle. To those who live there, it comes as no surprise that the upper reaches of the historic Inside Passage are home to the largest concentration of American eagles in the world. They are used to the sight of the national emblem, soaring free in uncluttered skies, or nesting in great trees along the water. For such is the character of this country, where the symbol of liberty decorates America's last frontier, and spawning salmon swirl in endless numbers, tracing the timeless patterns of life and death. Discolored now by their long fast, they too are part of this wild, raw land, where legend is mixed with fact and history carved on totems. Home now after the tedious journey, they jealously guard each special area of stream bottom. How long have they faced down the fear of death to plant here the seed of life? What power flows to them from the dim abyss of old beliefs, these ancient dwellers of this land, who, like the eagle and the raven, were once symbols of another heritage, another time. This is a story of that other time. Here, where the Tlinkits had once bartered for wealth and brought their slaves, the city of Haines now shares Portage Cove with the city of Port Chilkoot, which was actually established in 1903 as Fort William H. Seward, the first and only Army post in Alaska till 1939. Now a year-round resort and recreational area, Port Chilkoot is home to the famous Chilkat dancers and headquarters for Alaska Indian arts. By 1956, the art of the Northwest Coast Indian had lain dormant for more than 40 years. Today, it thrives and flourishes among the land of the Tlingits, thanks to the interest of the Indians themselves and the dedication and effort of one man, Carl W. Heinmiller, a retired Army major. He lost an eye and some fingers working with what was a forerunner of the Green Berets at Fort McClellan, and he trained Fiji guerrillas in World War II. But his greatest interest was as a woodsman and craftsman. 20 years ago, he and 4 other veterans bought the old Army post, by then classified as surplus, with the thought of developing it into a recreational property. As an arts and craftsman, he was amazed at the terrific art form of the Tlingits, and also concerned at the plight of the local Indians, especially the young people. One of his first efforts was to organize a scout troop. Other activities followed, including the Chilkat dancers, and eventually the concept of Alaska Indian arts, which presently includes a number of gifted craftsmen, both native and non-native. The project has been kept alive with limited funds from a variety of sources, but mainly through the determination of Heinmiller himself. Thus, what was once almost a lost art form among the Tlingits has now emerged as a productive enterprise, capable, among other things, of producing the world's largest totem pole, completed length 132 feet, to be shipped to Expo 70 in Osaka, Japan. Today, in fact, the Haines-Port Chilkoot area does a thriving business in poles, most of which, however, are carved by Mother Nature. They come from nearby forests, and log ships wait in line to haul them away. Lutak Inlet, south of town, boasts one of the largest loading docks of its kind in the U.S. 2 new all-electric sawmills do a tremendous business in the export of timber, with spruce forming the bulk of the export and Japan the major market. The loading and handling is all done with Alaskan labor under the watchful supervision of the ship's crew. Alaska's total forest area can support an annual cut of 1.5 billion board feet. And the Tongass National Forest, which stretches from Yakutat to well below Ketchikan, is the nation's largest. The land of the eagle is also the land of plenty. Tourists who like their scenery with a little salt use the Alaska Marine Highway, which has been calling here since 1963. Today, as terminal point for the 159-mile Haines Cutoff, which connects with the Alaska Highway, Haines-Port Chilkoot is readily accessible by road, water, and air. Customs and immigration clearance for Canadian traffic is located here. With a combined population of 1,100, Haines has modern accommodations, a variety of stores, airline service, and a daily bus schedule during the summer months over the Haines Highway. For traffic heading north, it's Highway 7. The big event annually is the Haines Strawberry Festival, held in July. First prize for the Strawberry Queen, a trip to Seattle Seafair, and all the strawberries you can eat. The Anway berry, originally developed by Charles Anway, local resident and pioneer horticulturalist, is still a popular producer with a good export market. Although a sizable amount make their way over to the Halsing Land Hotel at Port Chilkoot, where the area's #1 product is on display, a thing called Alaskan hospitality. Tonight's subject, Land of the Eagle, the Haines-Port Chilkoot area of southeastern Alaska, and a visit with Carl Heinmiller, leader of the famed Chilkat dancers and a foremost exponent of Northwest Indian art. Coming up On Exploration Northwest, an exciting second half, right after this. These products of Alaska Indian arts, on display at the workshop at Port Chilkoot, reflect the highly advanced art form of the Tlingits and represent hours of talented and painstaking work on the part of the craftsmen who are trained here. And all of it, from wood carvings to silver work to soapstone, under the close scrutiny of Karl Heinmiller, who sees no conflicts between fine arts and finely crafted reproductions, even if it means roughing them out on a lathe. The soapstone, by the way, comes from Seattle. Looking on are Della Jimmy and Lee Heinmiller, Karl's son. Della is from a family of Indian artists and craftsmen. Lee, who was Karl's right-hand man, has worked with his dad since he was 6 years old. Lee is now 17 and the leader with the Chilkat dancers. From rough out to final finish, the bear, a popular design, emerges as an authentic reproduction of native art, each one a little different, as was the custom in the past. Here in the main workroom, however, one realizes the full extent of the craftsmanship. The painstaking handiwork of Edwin Casco, a native of Klukwan, the ancient Indian village northwest of Haines. Here is no shortcut to the final product. He carves as did his ancestors. This ceremonial headdress, made of leather and fur and mountain goat horns, to be used by the Chilkat dancers, of which Della is a member. The mountain goat horns bring good luck to the wearer, and in the land of the eagle, luck is not always good. Tommy Jimmy is a local fisherman and a family man. Last season, his fishing boat was destroyed in an explosion. Without means to support his family, he has turned to his other stock in trade. An ancient skill brought to perfection by his people and practiced today by only a few. Next season, he and his son will be fishing again, for that too is part of their Indian heritage. A heritage, by the way, which is carefully guarded. The older Chilkat Indians first had to be convinced that their young people in Karl were seriously interested. The traditional dances and designs are inherited and remain the property of the clan. Today, there's no doubt of that interest. The art of the Northwest Indians has been revived among the young. This is the pattern board for the famous Chilkat blanket. The pattern was made by the men, the blankets by the women. A few originals were preserved in museums, but the art had almost died out. Those who knew how it was done were too old, and the young did not have time. Today, they do. In between serving as a guide at the Tourist Information Center, Georgiana Lewis learns the process, starting with edge and border weaving. The intricate center section, with its bold, stylized designs, is a challenge even for the expert. Their grandmothers worked with wool from the wild goat, bark from yellow cedar trees, and sinew from animals. But the process today remains the same. Over the years, Karl Heinmiller has kept his rapport with the Indians of Klukwan. In due time, he was made a member of the tribe and given a high and worthy name in the Raven clan. Rather than fairy tales, his children, as his daughter Judy, have been raised on the myths and legends of the Tlingits. In addition to befriending the Indians, he has midwifed their young, doctored their wounds, intervened in their behalf, and worked to perpetuate their art form. His wife Betty has worked right along with him. It was through Carl's intervention we were allowed to film some of the priceless art treasures which decorate their customs houses. Dating back at least 200 years, Strong Boy stands guard over all the remains of a once powerful people. Engulfed in the changing world of today, Tlingit, the ancient Tlingit Indian village 23 miles northwest of Haines, struggles to preserve some semblance of the past. A new tribal house will help. But for the most part, what was once the main village of the powerful Chilkat Indians, the warrior nation of the Tlingits, has dwindled to slightly over 100 people. Many of these are on welfare or social security. Most of the young people have moved away. Yet the Tlingits have stubbornly clung to their tribal identity and their ancient association with the things which control their lives long before the white man came. What you're seeing are the first films ever made of the famous whalehouse totems of the Raven clan. They represent an irreplaceable segment of Northwest history. The colors, red ochre, the black from charcoal or boiled hemlock bark, the blue from oxidized copper, are still vivid today. Here was once the evidence of great wealth and position, the interplay of truth and legend. 70,000 people once roamed this northwest coastline from Yakutat to Vancouver Island. The spirits of the other world were as real to them as their own. The strength of Strong Boy, the tragedy of the Worm Girl. The feast of potlatch, where the food trough was filled and none would say no till it was done. And now it is done, and has been for many years. But some things remain. The strength and imagery of line and form, the boldness of Northwest Indian art, reflecting the colorful land which gave it birth so many centuries ago. The tour boat is in, and it's time for the Chilkat dancers to perform. Backstage, the procedure is a familiar one to Carl. Over the years, there have been many little bears, and nobody knows how many performances. There are always more kids coming along. Some of them are married now with kids of their own. During the past 10 years, the Chilkat dancers have become famous. They've traveled far and wide throughout the United States and Canada, including 8 countries in Europe. They've captured such honors as the grand prize at the Intertribal Indian Ceremonials at Gallup, New Mexico. Membership is open to both Indian and white, but all are from the immediate area. Most of their beautiful costumes are authentic reproductions of traditional dance items, a good number of which the young people have made themselves. The welcome or entrance dance, one of many which they perform, is a dance of the interior Indians. The dance we are to see goes back to the time when the world was very young. It is a story of the Raven, who made the world and all the people in it. They lived on what they could get from the edge of the sea, and they were starving because the tides were not working. When the Raven complained to the old woman who controlled the tides, she drove him off with the wolf. Sending a beautiful young woman to entice the wolf away, the Raven again appeared, this time in human form, and threw sand in the eyes of the old woman, blinding her and causing her great pain. When she agreed to let the tide come in twice a day, he washed the sand out of her eyes, and she could see again. It is called the Tide Woman Dance. southeastern Alaska, where history was carved on totems and in the hearts of the people who live here. A legendary land, the land of the eagle. Special thanks to Bob and Norma Spring for their help in the production of tonight's adventure, and of course to the Chilkat dancers and Carl Heinmiller of Alaska Indian Arts, without whom there wouldn't have been a show to start with. As a matter of fact, without whose efforts and talents, we here in the Northwest would be missing a lot of things, including a good start toward the preservation of something we could ill afford to lose, the remnants of our colorful past. A word about next week's show, right after this.
As happy as a butter clam, when tides are high I sing a grateful ode to Puget Sound, the land of everything. I love it from Tulalip, from Puyallup, Squim and Pish, and to the Dosey Wallops, where so many times I've fished.
And I'm supposed to have some brown beef today.
Yep.
Okay.
From Brennan to the Bogoshiel, from Lemmy to Lapush, and from the lordly Salda to the lovely Dutta Bush, from Samish to Sammamish, from Suquamish to Quilcene, the climate is so friendly, it's a land that's evergreen. Stimicum and Stillicum, where spouts the gooey duck, the singing Stillaguamish and swirling Skookum Chuck, and Moclips and Copalis, where the razor clams abound. A little bit of heaven is a shack on Puget Sound. There's peace on the Skokomish, on the Queets, and on the Hoe. There's calm on the Nisqually, born of ageless ice and snow. A land that nature loves so much, she stays a whole year round. I trade a royal palace for a shack on Puget Sound.